The retired Hulk, who has gained weight, got lost. Plus, he is red-green color blind and can't see the traffic lights clearly. In the blink of an eye, a 100-ton truck is about to crash into him. Test results show that his head is harder than the front of the truck. Then it raised its fist. The truck driver left this world. The colleagues besides secretly cursed this damn monster. Whenever encountering this so-called mutant monster, there is absolutely no possibility of survival for humans. The colleagues beside were already in tears. The driver who had just died was his good friend, and his wife had just given birth to a child. In the blink of an eye, the mutant had arrived above their heads. He instinctively began to run, but this monster jumped in front of him in one leap and shook him off the ground. The monster's hands had already stained with so much fresh blood. It regarded human lives as insignificant as ants. At this moment, a brave wrench flew over. The foreman shouted to the workers, "You fools, stand up quickly! Even if it's death, we can't die without dignity." Unexpectedly, Mutant calmly walked past him. The man comforted himself. "I may be the first person to confront Mutant and still be alive." But then Mutant grabbed a container. It threw the container towards the man. The man thought to himself, "This time I'm definitely going to die." Suddenly, a figure rushed over. He kicked the container flying. The man's expression seemed to say, "Mom, I saw an angel." In an instant, Eye Patch Boy landed like the wind and blocked in front of the man. Then he earnestly asked the monster, "What's your name? Can you speak?" Mutant slowly opened its mouth and made a strange sound, but its body had turned red. This means it has entered a state of anger. The little ant in front of me actually dares to talk to me. The unprepared youth was blasted away with a single strike. The monster presses its advantage to chase. They exchanged a few moves. The youth's leg was caught by the monster. With just one strike, the young man was knocked into a container. At this moment, this battle is being watched by various parties. The TV station is broadcasting the event live. Military personnel have also arrived at the port. The commander ordered everyone not to open fire. Because of the evaluation by the intelligence team, the current power of the young man exceeds the total military and firepower of the port. If the young man cannot handle it, sending the military up there would be a waste of lives. Only that person can help. Call B. Help him out without interfering with the young man if possible. Be acknowledged. The man rolled over and jumped onto the roof of the car. A specially made bullet was shot out. Good shot, hitting the bullseye from 100 steps away. But the situation seems off. The expected kill did not happen. The monster was just provoked. And then it charged towards B again, its body completely red. B's bullets were fired continuously. But the monster stubbornly withstood the gunfire and slowly approached. At that moment, the youth walked out of the container. "Fatty, you provoke me." The youth delivered a flying kick. "You don't speak. You don't understand manners." The youth followed up with a left hook. "Do you think you are handsome?" The youth followed up with a right hook. The enormous shockwave was like a tsunami. People from all walks of life were shocked speechless. They had never seen such a scene before. But suddenly, a figure appeared behind the young man. The young man was shocked. He didn't even sense the approach of the newcomer. The person had an evil look on his face. "You are quite fierce. It took me a lot of effort to find you." The legendary White Hat superhero, Kevin Lin. "Actually, I came here this time to challenge you to a competition." Kevin Lin looked at this strange man. He turned around and walked away. His stomach made strange sounds, always reminding him of various delicious foods. Hunger left him with no desire to fight at all. The man looked at Kevin, who was about to leave, and said slowly, "If you leave like this, I will come to school to find you." Upon hearing the man's words, Kevin Lin immediately stopped in his tracks. He looked at him with a surprised expression on his face. "What, aren't you a student behind the mask?" Kevin Lin was completely stunned. He couldn't understand how the man in front of him knew his identity. He looked at Kevin's panicked expression. The man chuckled and said, "Don't worry, I will keep your secret. By the way, tell the person in your earphones. I am very good at keeping secrets." When this was said, both of them were shocked. Later, Black Hat said again, "What a genius. I almost couldn't resist kidnapping him several times. And Brian Zhou is Kevin Lin's only good brother. He is indeed a genius." The mini camera on Kevin Lin's face mask was created by him. He is also the one behind Kevin Lin giving him advice. Every time before Kevin Lin takes action, he will also let Kevin Lin try to communicate with them. Because he is convinced that as monsters continue to appear, eventually, there will be a monster that can communicate. Over here, Kevin Lin looked at the man who knew him inside out, his eyes showing a hint of hostility. "To actually threaten me with my only good brother. You truly deserve to die." Upon hearing Kevin Lin's words, Brian Zhou immediately tried to stop him. But the next second, Kevin Lin has already rushed towards the Black Hat man. Both of them acted at the same time. Kevin Lin is somewhat incredulous. The man in front of him actually took his punch. He then twisted his body and threw another punch. But this punch did not hit the Black Hat man. I only saw the Black Hat man squatting steadily on his arm. How come he suddenly showed mercy? Just at this moment, the showdown between the two was also being watched by superheroes from all around the world. With the invasion of the aliens, 1 in a billion people on Earth also possess extraordinary superhuman powers. And this is also the world's first battle between superheroes. At this time, Black Hat superhero also jumped to the side from Kevin Lin's arm. Watching Kevin Lin, who did not use full force, he said that the blow was like child's play. Next, he is going to fight with all his strength. But this port will sink because of it. There may be a situation where both parties end up getting hurt. There is also the possibility of losing control of oneself because of this. He then let Kevin Lin decide whether to continue or not. Brian Zhou heard this through his earphones and immediately advised Kevin Lin to stay calm. Because right now, we have no idea if he is a friend or foe. And there's no benefit to anyone from winning or losing in a fight. Black Hat looked at Kevin Lin, who was not moving, and understood his intentions. Just as he turned around to leave, a voice suddenly came. "Hold on. What's your name?" Black Hat looked into his determined eyes. He smiled sinisterly. "My name is Ryan. We will meet again in the future." When his companion also came to his side, the companion further asked him if he wanted to look at his arm. Ryan, however, said, "How could a child hurt me?" At this moment, his arm began to tremble uncontrollably. Kevin looked at the disappearing figures and started to contemplate. At this moment, a voice interrupted his thoughts. He looked at the worker who came to thank him. Kevin Lin replied casually, "You're welcome." After saying that, he leaped up. He disappeared at the harbor. He always fights monsters and saves people without leaving his name. But there are legends about him all over the school. Every time he takes action against monsters, it becomes a hot topic on the internet. On the way to school, 2 classmates were discussing who is stronger between Kevin and Ryan. Kevin Lin made efforts to keep a clear mind and remained unmoved. In the midst of the conversation, one of them said, "It is rumored that Kevin is actually not a human. Insider sources claim that he is a robot developed by the military." Kevin Lin's face twitched slightly. The other person disagreed, believing that Kevin is a flesh and blood hero. He became excited and accidentally bumped into a passerby. Upon closer inspection, it turned out to be a member of the D sect on campus. This student suddenly fell silent. This member was very satisfied with his own power and prestige. However, he caught sight of a dissenter. He shouted at Kevin Lin. "Hey kid, were you just glaring at me?" He also stepped closer and said, "I remember your face now. You'll regret this in the future." Kevin Lin quickly turned his head to the side. "I'm sorry." He then felt nervous in his heart, unsure if his acting skills had improved. The young man was originally a superhero who specialized in defeating monsters and evil spirits. However, he couldn't even handle a zipper properly and was teased by the class belle. On the way to school, he was threatened by a hooligan and dared not speak up. What's even more terrifying is that the hooligan is also a member of the same school's D sect. Classmates say that the D sect is like a shadow looming over the school. The whole school is filled with oppression. So, in order to conceal his superhero identity, the young man lived in constant fear. He silently worked hard just to be able to act decently. And the school cafeteria has always been a place of rumors and gossip. Hooligans like to show off when there are many people around. The members of Class 3's D sect are proud of themselves. But they don't know that there is a legendary figure standing behind them. The young man named Scott is a solitary loner. He never actively seeks trouble. But he single-handedly defeated all the gang leaders from another school, which resulted in him transferring to this school. The cause was that those foolish gang leaders wanted to pick a fight with him. At this moment, social anxiety superhero is focusing on eating. But someone pulls out a chair to sit next to him. Upon closer inspection, it turns out to be Scott. Scott asked if Kevin Lin also has no friends. Then he said with a sense of grievance that he also eats alone every day. Kevin Lin suddenly realized that besides Brian Zhou, who claims to be a genius, he indeed doesn't have any friends. So the two of them put down their chopsticks in frustration, and suddenly felt like they had no appetite for the meal. Suddenly, a person flew past the two of them. It turned out that this student had just blocked the way for D sect. I saw this group of hooligans walking in a crooked and twisted manner. The leader, Thomas, was in a very bad mood today, especially when he saw Kevin Lin, who bumped into him in the morning. But his anger subsided when he noticed Scott sitting next to Kevin Lin. So he was ready to take his anger out on the guy who had just blocked his way. At this moment, no one dared to step forward to help. But Class Bell jumped out. "Stop, you scum." Thomas was shocked. All the classmates were also stunned. Thomas casually threw the prey he had just caught into the air. He walked up to Class Bell and said, "This is so interesting." A girl wanted to stand up for someone, but his outstretched hand was caught by someone. It was Scott. Thomas's mood had reached an all-time low today. He turned around and kicked out with one leg. "You bastard. Can't you let someone finish talking?" The two of them exchanged punches and kicks. Thomas covered his face. Today he must restore his dignity. At this moment, a fat man entered and halted the fight. He turned out to be Nathan, the third-ranking member of D sect. Rumors have it that D sect is led by 3 people. Nathan is said to be the most ruthless of them all. As for the leader D, it seems like he has never taken any action. The third calms down the second's emotions. Then, turning to Scott, he says, "I have heard of you. But what you did today was a bit too much. One day you will regret this." During their fight, Kevin Lin remained focused and finished the food in his hand. Then, he couldn't help burping. His classmates were all stunned. What's going on? Did it just thunder? Brian Zhou walked down the street feeling frustrated that day. He had no money left to buy food. He didn't expect his roommate, superhero Kevin Lin, to have such a big appetite. And his sister who pays herself regularly. She works for a secret research institute. There is no way to contact her in daily life. Where there is a will, there is a way. There is an advertisement posted on the electric pole. A arm wrestling competition prize surprisingly has 80 million. It seems it's time for Kevin Lin, this foodie, to make some effort. In the evening, inside an internet cafe, Thomas and his gang are gathered together. The amount of this prize has left Thomas a bit dazed. Then he ordered his men to contact the boss D. The arm wrestling competition this weekend. D sect is getting all members ready to participate. The youth was originally a superhero guarding a country, but he participated in the arm wrestling competition for a little money. One reason is the generous prize of 80 million for the champion. Secondly, his huge appetite ate up every last penny of his buddy's money. He ate up the last grain of rice in the house. At that moment, the two of them heard the host repeatedly calling out, "Number 82. Brian Joe turned around and asked, "Are you number 82? It turned out that he was indeed number 82. "What are you still standing there for?" Just then, Kevin Lin, showing a positive attitude, ran over. Brian Joe behind him once again reminded him to perform normally. Kevin Lin's wise expression looked quite reliable. "Don't worry, Brian Joe. Isn't it just about controlling the strength to win the game? Leave the money-making to me." Just before the match, Kevin Lin happened to meet his opponent. The burly man said, "With your small body, you should quit early to avoid getting hurt later." "I don't want to. I am here to make money." So the two of them arrived at the arena. Suddenly, the strong man exerted all his strength. Kevin Lin suddenly understood. It turns out that arm wrestling requires this kind of basic movement. Then, there was only a crisp sound. People who watch videos without subscribing end up like this. Brian Joe is going crazy. Didn't you say you could perform normally? Practice makes perfect, right? The second opponent said to Kevin Lin, "It's okay if you lose this time. After all, you're still young. With more practice, you have a chance to win the championship in the future. Don't get angry. Don't get angry. The third time will be familiar. Even if you lose the game, we can still be friends. This is called sportsmanship." "Brian Joe, I was wrong. But next time, I will really become proficient." The host has already lost count of how many ambulances have arrived. Thinking about the medical expenses during the audition phase, it seems that this competition will probably operate at a loss. The competition has finally entered the elimination round. Nathan from D sect unexpectedly passed the audition as well. And his teammate is also from D sect, Thomas. The most mysterious leader of D sect, D, also passed the audition. However, strangely enough, his opponent chose to forfeit. The second and third most important figures of D sect had their first match. At this moment, Nathan took off his sunglasses. The henchman below interpreted, "The boss's sunglasses are a seal. When he takes off the sunglasses, it means he has made a decision to fight to the death." And in the end, Nathan, who took off his glasses, still couldn't defeat Thomas. Kevin Lin's opponent looks like a venerable monk who has achieved enlightenment. "I have cultivated the wisdom eye. I can see the ripples in your heart. If I'm not mistaken, you possess extraordinary power just like me." Kevin Lin was stunned. He wondered if his opponent was also a superhero hiding in the shadows. "Come, fellow traveler. Don't hold back." When they joined hands, the monk was no longer calm. He felt that the opponent was as sturdy as a mountain, impossible to shake. Kevin Lin learned from past mistakes and performed skillfully this time. It's really not easy. Acting is much more tiring than playing monster. Meanwhile, D, who advanced directly to the next round due to the opponent's withdrawal, frowned as he looked at his phone screen. He saw his subordinates boasting to him, "We took care of it for you." It turned out that they used despicable kidnapping methods to force the opponent to withdraw. Then the boss walked towards the second and third in command, kicking Nathan away with one foot first. He then slapped Thomas away with one hand. "Do you just spend all day bullying the weak? And doing these despicable things?" Then he announced to the host that he was abstaining. I can't believe the notorious leader of D sect turns out to be such a person with integrity. Semifinal: Kevin Lin versus Thomas. Thinking about what Thomas did at school, Kevin Lin put in a little more effort. And then Thomas squatted on the ground in pain, unable to speak. The host then announced that Kevin Lin had entered the final. "Brian Joe, praise me quickly." My current strength control can be used for personal revenge now. Kevin Lin's final opponent is a martial artist. He comes from a martial arts school called Martial Arts School. Today, his master also came to the scene. But this group of martial artists seems a little abnormal in the head. They are shouting, love you, go for it, go for it. At the beginning of the final, the martial artist made a full-on attack without holding back. But he felt a force that did not belong to a human. It was like facing off against an ancient mammoth. Sure enough, Kevin Lin won the championship. Have you ever planned how to spend the prize money? Buy food? Buy lots and lots of food. Player Kevin Lin. I do have a good suggestion. There have been frequent outbreaks of mutant disasters recently. Would you consider donating a portion to help those in need? Kevin Lin turned around and saw several pairs of expectant eyes. I will donate everything. At this moment, Brian Joe in the audience has completely gone crazy. The competition ended, and surprisingly, the martial artist uncle came forward to offer his congratulations with a broad mind. He also handed out his business card, inviting Kevin Lin to visit their martial arts school. At that moment, his master turned around and glanced at Kevin Lin. The next moment, the trophy in Brian Joe's hand ended up in the hands of the old man. Kevin Lin immediately stood in front of Brian Joe. He felt that this old man was definitely extraordinary. The old man said, "Your intuition is indeed sharp. I didn't expect to meet you here. I finally get to see the face hidden under your white hat." Saying that, the old man turned around and left. If you want to reclaim the trophy, come find me at Dragon Peak. And at this moment, in another corner of the world, a small fishing boat drifts on the vast ocean. It seems like a big fish is trailing behind the boat. The fisherman also noticed something was wrong at this time and wanted to take a closer look. A large dark shadow approached. But suddenly, the black shadow emerged from the water. "Help me. My location is at latitude." The next second, the person disappeared without a trace. On a huge cruise ship not far away, people are leisurely enjoying the summer sun. The captain ordered the crew to search in the direction of the distress signal. He said firmly, "In this era of monsters roaming, humanity must unite." Soon, the fisherman waited for the cruise ship to come and rescue him. Strangely, there was a person lying on the deck who looked exactly like him. In a meeting room, a leader pounded the table in distress. Yellow-haired man said solemnly, "Both of you, this situation is more serious this time." A cruise ship with 300 passengers on board was attacked by mutants. On the other side were two superheroes with their identities already revealed. Female superhero Jennifer and male superhero William. William said, "This situation is tricky now. It's like catching turtles in a jar. The passengers have nowhere to run." William stopped talking. "Hurry up and depart, it's urgent." The leader took a deep breath after Superhero left. Superhero is indeed impressive. Even sharing the same room exudes such a strong presence. Yellow-haired man on the road introduced the details of the incident to the two superheroes. "It will take us 2 hours to arrive there. There are a total of 3,000 passengers and crew members on the ship. Currently, their conditions of life and death, as well as the extent of damage to the ship, are unknown. The situation was urgent at that time, and the two were far apart. Therefore, the Navy first dispatched elite forces for the rescue. However, communication was lost with everyone just 20 minutes after they arrived. And the cruise ship is still sailing along with the autopilot system. Its final destination is the land. So when the authorities approve, fighter jets will carry small nuclear bombs to destroy the cruise ship before it lands." Jennifer asked, "But what if there are still survivors on the ship?" The yellow-haired man's body had started to tremble. The situation on the ship is unknown. But we can't allow the mutant to land on land. This approach is indeed not the best option. You don't need to be nervous. We will definitely handle it properly." In the midst of talking, the helicopter has already arrived above the cruise ship. The two superheroes are ready to jump directly from here. Before leaving, Jennifer said, "Please contact your superiors and tell them that we have arrived. The order for missile interception can be withdrawn now." The two arrived on the deck and found that the place was in a sorry state. Due to the large size of the ship, the two decided to search separately. During the search process, Jennifer punched the hull of the ship. Then she bounced back up. After a loud noise, she entered the cabin. There was nothing unusual in her sight. William entered from the cockpit. Here is a different scene. Bodies littered the ground, and no one survived. As he searched further inside, he unexpectedly came across a familiar figure. The unmistakable figure was Jennifer. But how could Jennifer be here? She had clearly gone to the lower deck just now. "Are you Jennifer? How did you come up so quickly?" The next second, Jennifer's expression changed. "Damn! What is going on here?" A superhero who has never shed a drop of blood but is now missing an arm. The piercing pain made him experience the fear of being a mere mortal. He couldn't believe that his own partner caused him to lose his arm. The fierce attack arrived as expected. He reminded himself to calm down. Sure enough, the partner he saw earlier was indeed fake. It was a monster that appeared in front of him. He tore off his shirt to wrap around his severed arm. He was angry. But his anger did not come from his severed arm. The monster in front of him dared to defile his partner, Jennifer. Jennifer in his heart was brave, serious, and steadfast. She tirelessly saved humanity. He once took down a gang by himself. His superhero identity was discovered by Jennifer. Jennifer invited him to be her partner to save humanity. At that time, he was unruly and dismissive of everything. He only agreed to Jennifer's request because he could have a meal to eat. Jennifer never minded his prickly demeanor. She always reminded him to stay calm during tasks, like a mother hen. Still strongly insisted that he put on that ridiculous superhero costume. In Jennifer's view, everything is secondary except for saving humanity. Jennifer always rushes to the forefront in every battle. She fights like an indefatigable all until the end. William never said to his partner. In fact, he has admired Jennifer since the first mission. In his heart, Jennifer is already like a sister to him. But this monster in front of me dares to defile the heroism of humanity. During the battle, William felt overwhelmed and keenly realized a problem. It seems that the monsters they face during each mission are becoming stronger. In other words, the dangers faced by the human world will become increasingly significant. It looks like we need to take it seriously. William found a red wine barrel. He kicked towards the wine barrel flying, only to see the red wine fly to monster and turn into a red solid in front. Then William grabbed a bottle of beer. The beer actually condensed into a long sword. Since you won't talk, I won't give you time to leave any last words. This blow destroyed half of Monster's head, driving Monster into a frenzy. It is still able to engage in ferocious combat. William leaps up. He kicks and shatters the fire extinguisher head. Water splashes everywhere in an instant. Then his eyes narrowed, and Monster instantly turned into an ice sculpture. Originally, William's superpower truly amazed Jennifer. He could use his mind to turn any liquid into a solid, but not by freezing it into ice. Instead, it transformed into a new substance even harder than diamond. Looking at the motionless monster in front of him, William thought he had spent too much time and needed to quickly finish off Monster and reunite with Jennifer. Suddenly, he fell to the ground. Before he died, he could not believe it. There is actually a monster here. This situation has never occurred before. All monster attacks that humans have encountered so far have been from a single individual. When a monster appeared on a cruise ship, and when the cruise ship is about to hit the shore, would you choose to sacrifice the 3,000 people on the cruise ship, or let the monster come ashore and destroy the city with a population of 200,000? At this moment, the president's office is quiet, as they are caught in a dilemma. The two superheroes leaped onto the cruise ship, with Jennifer instructing them to ensure the missile attack is called off. The original plan by the military was to destroy the cruise ship with a missile before it reached the shore. A legislator said, "Mr. President, please order the missiles to be recalled immediately. The superhero has already boarded the cruise ship, and they have never failed to defeat the monster before." Another legislator disagreed, saying, "No, you are oversimplifying the situation. A mature crisis management plan must have a plan B. Never making a mistake doesn't mean you won't make mistakes. Can you please explain why we still can't get in touch with the two superheroes until now?" "They don't know. William has been sandwiched and killed by two monsters at this time. And Jennifer is in the bottom hold of the ship, which is causing the communication signal to be blocked." The argument in the office is becoming more intense. At this time, the president spoke. "I order the missiles to be recalled. Immediately execute the order. I believe Jennifer." In a heavy rainstorm a year ago, the president came to the area where Monster appeared despite the danger. And at that moment, Jennifer had just successfully resolved the threat of Monster. "Miss Jennifer, please forgive me for coming forward presumptuously. I just want to express my gratitude to you. Both I and my fellow countrymen owe a debt of gratitude to your superhero team." Jennifer in the rain remained calm. Then she turned her head. "Saving lives, this kind of thing. How can there be any questions of owing or not owing a debt of gratitude?" Jennifer's departing figure forever etched in the president's heart. At this moment, Jennifer broke through the ship's wall to reunite with William. But she saw the William who never liked listening to his own nagging. The William who always thought superhero costumes were ugly. The William who said that if he ever encountered Jennifer, he wouldn't be able to handle it, and would choose to escape rationally. Dead. Just a nonsense idiot. Subtitle recognition failed. There is no rational and calm choice but to escape. Jennifer punched the monster in the face. Jennifer approached William's head heavily. She bent down. She seemed not to have noticed the monster tentacle already stabbed into her shoulder. She helped William close his eyes. Then she slowly stood up. She suddenly turned her head abruptly. The moment of violent energy made Monster tremble all over. The instinct for survival pulled it back in an instant. However, a series of combos hit Monster. Monster trembled non-stop. The woman at this moment was like a demon from hell. "Since I started cleaning up you trash, today is the worst day. Your death will be announced by me." It screamed hoarsely, trembling uncontrollably. But it was unavoidable. I can only fight for a glimmer of hope for myself. And at this moment, the block of ice trapping Jennifer behind William also began to loosen. The monster inside the block of ice quietly escapes. It opens its mouth wide and launches a sudden attack. And when Jennifer turns around, she sees the monster slowly transforming into the shape of William. Jennifer's anger has reached its peak. "Now I finally understand how William fell victim. He is rude and irritable usually. He definitely won't be able to go to heaven. Then you guys just go to hell and kneel down to beg for mercy with him." The battle between Jennifer and Monster has officially begun. Just saw that beam of light smash through the hull, illuminating a pitch-black sea. Like a dirge dedicated to dear friends. Jennifer walked out of the cabin. At this time, the staff received a phone call. He reported the news of the cruise ship being rescued to the president. Everyone raised their arms and cheered. The president finally couldn't contain his joy and wept. Meanwhile, the man also reported the news of William's sacrifice. Everyone was shocked. The festive atmosphere came to a sudden halt in a moment. It was as if a finger named Sorrow abruptly pressed the pause button. The next day, the man was frantically making phone calls in a car. He was actually calling a man named Ben in Jennifer's team. "Ben, something big has happened. Mr. Williams' body is missing. The muscular superhero likes to wear a pink bodysuit. He has also given himself a girlish nickname. He calls himself Tomato Superhero. When facing evil, He always shatters the darkness with thunder. Give the opponent a blow. Tomato Slam. Every time he deals with a threat, he always looks solemn. He selflessly allows the masses to admire his heroic image. He is a character in the popular drama, Tomato Man. His #1 fan Kevin Lin stays up all night watching the show. But Kevin Lin is actually a superhero in disguise. He has never revealed his true identity. People can only call him White Hat Superhero based on his appearance. Today is the day when the Tomato Superhero crew is coming to this city. Kevin Lin, with his bloodshot eyes from staying up late, looked at his friend. He was determined to drag Brian Zhou to the airport to welcome the Tomato Superhero. But the first one to arrive at the airport was a mutant. It noticed a plane approaching from a distance. It suddenly accelerated and started running. The airport broadcast immediately issued a monster invasion alert. People began to panic and run away. Brian Zhou frantically searched for Kevin Lin's gear, but did not find the white hat. Kevin Lin grabbed the eye mask. He then rushed out. He also took a white hat on his way out. At this point, the mutant has already reached the front of the airplane. It exerted force and jumped straight up. The airplane's wing was almost completely damaged. Fortunately, the captain is highly skilled. He stabilized the airplane. Although there were bumps and collisions, the airplane finally came to a stop. But that monster actually grabbed a forklift. It threw it towards the plane. In a critical moment, a Kevin appeared and kicked the forklift away, landing safely. What is your name? Can you speak? Then Kevin grabbed the forklift. You can't speak, can you? Is it that you don't understand politeness? Monster suddenly leaped to dodge the forklift, also very agile. But Kevin's flying kick has arrived in front. Kevin thought that this monster is a bit different. Why does it feel like hitting clay? At this moment, Kevin's earphones beeped. It turned out that Brian Zhou found a computer at the boarding gate and established a communication connection with Kevin Lin. Brian Zhou is on his way home. You are too close. Very dangerous. The monster threw a punch. Kevin rushed up again, but saw Monster's cheeks puffing up. It unexpectedly sprayed out a burst of ink. Kevin used both arms to block. The monster, seeing that it couldn't defeat Kevin at the moment, retreated and moved away. Then it let out a roar towards the sky. It unexpectedly spewed countless eggs into the sky. One of the eggs happened to fall right next to Brian Zhou. The next moment, the eggshell cracked. A small mutant suddenly emerged from inside. Brian Zhou hid behind a pillar, not daring to make a sound. But then the phone on the table rang. Brian Zhou, where are you? Speak up. Brian Zhou quickly fled. But the monster quickly found another prey. Brave Brian Zhou smashed the monster with a hammer. But he was only a mortal after all. When the monster approached him, Brian Zhou felt deeply afraid. It turns out that Kevin Lin has been fighting with such a terrifying monster all along. At this moment, the monster that vomited eggs on the airport runway turned red. Kevin Lin's first reaction was to go and rescue Brian Zhou. But an eyeless little monster pounced on him. He was knocked out by Kevin Lin with one punch. Then he leaped forward. But his path was blocked by the adult monster. The monster smashed a heavy fist towards Kevin. And at this moment, Brian Zhou was on the brink of death. Suddenly, a person flew in with a knee strike. I am B. The monster in its mature form is currently fighting Kevin. Everyone, listen to my command. Attack all the monster juvenile forms. Everyone, support Kevin with all your might. At this moment, outside the plane, the monster juvenile form is tearing apart the aircraft's shell. The passengers inside the cabin are in a panic. Rose's agent, who goes by the name of Rose, stepped forward to call for everyone to stay calm. And the celebrity standing next to him is the popular male lead, Tomato Superhero. However, Tomato Superhero is now holding his head with a troubled expression. At this moment, a monster juvenile form breaks through the aircraft shell and enters the cabin. Suddenly, the cabin was filled with cries of anguish. But suddenly, a hole suddenly appeared inside the cabin. The monster was blasted out of the cabin. A burly figure appears in the ink sprayed by the juvenile form monster. At this moment, another juvenile form enters the cabin. The figure walks forward. He grabs the monster with one hand. The monster's fist hitting him felt like scratching an itch. Rose behind him was shocked. Tomato Superhero dared not look into the eyes of his old partner. Rose thought that my acting career is coming to an end. It has been a joy working with you. With Tomato Superhero's words, Rose's tears flowed as she reminisced about their every moment together. Rose is crying. The Tomato Superhero is holding the monster conflict chamber. I'm sorry, Rose. You have been fired. Interception. He is immortal but always wants to step into the battlefield of superheroes, facing terrifying monsters. He, as a mortal, can only choose ranged attacks. But these attacks cannot kill the monster. At most, they can only enrage the monster. To this end, he sacrificed much of his body to implant mechanical weapons into himself. The staff introduced that the equipment called Super Maglev Hand Cannon is currently not mature enough. Its ammunition was developed by a genius female researcher. Using this weapon in combat is actually consuming lives. The man had no hesitation in asking the other party to equip him immediately. He is called B. He remembers himself as a warrior. He is unwilling to see monsters harming the people while he is powerless to do anything. He hopes to fight alongside Kevin Superhero. He has never seen Superhero take a half step back in the face of monsters. So even if he dies in battle, he will never regret it. He unzipped the zipper on his sleeve. He threw away the gloves. I am B. All team members listen to my command. Make sure to kill all monster hatchlings. Sacrifice if necessary. He strapped the weapon onto his arm. Just cocking the gun caused him immense pain. Then he cried out, "See!" His beloved dog named C came running out. He grabbed the ammunition from C's back. He loaded them into his arms. The intense pain made him howl to the sky. But he quickly forced himself to calm down. He fired a shot at the monster cub. After one shot, the monster cub was seriously injured. But it rushed up again. Seek and destroy. Another shot was fired. A sense of powerlessness surged in the man's heart. It actually took 2 shots in the same spot to kill a monster pup. At this moment, his eye receiver issued a signal. Infrared detected another cub rushing over. And at this moment, C only had 1 bullet left. The monster had already pounced. Just 1 shot left. If I die on the battlefield today, it's also fine by me. As the last bullet was fired, the man's equipment fell off. He was almost unable to move. But he saw. The monster's cub was still alive. C. He took the dagger that C gave him. The dagger is named Deadly Poison Dagger. Once it pierces the same wound, it's a certain death. Go to hell. He stabbed into the monster's wound. His own chest was also pierced through by the monster. At this moment, on the airport runway outside, Tomato Superhero just killed a monster cub. He sung the theme song of Tomato Man, alone. He was the leading actor of the hit TV series, Tomato Man. But today he had to take action against the monster. He can no longer live as an actor in a self-willed manner in the future. Sing his own theme song. This really makes people uninterested. No interest at all. Then Tomato Superhero saw the monster queen in the distance. I am Tomato Superhero. Today, I will take down you octopus monsters who disturb others' interests. Jennifer's team, who was watching the battlefield at this moment, was shocked. This actor playing Tomato Superhero. Could it really be a superhero? This contrast is hard for people to accept for a moment. Jennifer stared at the screen, recalling the scene of meeting Will and Dean. At that time, Dean didn't look like a superhero at all. How long would he have hidden it if he hadn't encountered a monster attack? Jennifer is starting to get angry now. How dare this man flirt with her? The tomato began to rage and yell. The battle is about to break out. Kevin suddenly stood up. Monster was shocked. He remembered clearly that he had struck Kevin's head heavily at that time. Kevin, standing up again, exuded a formidable momentum. The atmosphere between the three of them is subtle. The place where the three people are located is experiencing earth-shattering changes at this moment. All of this is seen by the observing Ryan. The female companion asked in horror, "What is this momentum?" That's Kevin's unique aura. He is channeling energy, causing the space around him to distort. But this is unlike his usual self. It's more like he has fallen into an unconscious state. And at this moment, Kevin erupted with astonishing momentum. But his condition seemed to have some issues, as if he lost consciousness entirely. At this moment, Monster chose to take the initiative. I see the fist coming towards me. Kevin, however, does not dodge. I only saw several air punches hitting Monster. Tomato Superhero was shocked. He clearly saw it in that split second. Kevin made lightning-fast moves and attacked 7 parts of the monster. It's difficult to achieve such speed on my own. At this moment, Tomato Superhero can clearly see the difference in strength between the two. At this moment, Monster opened all its tentacles and wrapped Kevin up. However, Kevin remained still. Suddenly, the arrogant monster thus lost its advantage. At this moment, a voice rang out. "Stop right there!" Both of them were stunned. A strangely looking person caught their eyes. Kevin. Tomato. Let go of that guy. I'm not asking but telling you. Tomato was shocked. The other party was clearly a mutant but could speak. And Tomato didn't even notice the arrival of the other party. Are you very surprised, Tomato? Do you think mutants can't speak? You make me very angry. Why do humans both fear us and think we are inferior? And then it beckoned with one hand. The monster flew up. It was instantly brought back to its side. And why should the name of our clan be subject to the naming by you humans? Just saw that monster directly bowed down on one knee. Then the two began to communicate. Do you still remember me, little one? Then monster unexpectedly roared, as if having a great injustice. This really embarrasses me, so to speak. Then didn't I let them spare you in vain? Why are you trying to make me angry? You have no right to associate with us, you scoundrel. Then it throws it back. You keep this safe. Just saw a monster with a green, meatball-like shape opening its mouth. It swallowed the heart in one bite. And then it said to the two superheroes, "Next, I'll fix you up nicely." At this moment, Kevin suddenly stood up. The tomato superhero immediately stepped in front of Kevin. Don't act recklessly, Kevin. That guy is very powerful. But Kevin still swung his fist at the tomato, blocking his way. The strike shook the heavens and the earth. Even the mysterious mutant was surprised. The mist dispersed, and the tomato unexpectedly caught Kevin's strike firmly. This guy is acting abnormally, as if he has lost his soul. Immediately after, Kevin's momentum exploded again, forcing the tomato to bend down. The tomato got angry. In an instant, its momentum surged. His fist swung, gathering a glowing energy. A punch was thrown. Kevin disappeared in an instant. Kevin quietly laid down after passing through several walls. It had been a long time since he had moved his limbs like this. Then it's your turn, old witch. If you want to die, just come over. Do you dare to explore the depths of the ocean? Do you know what unknown dangers lie within the deep sea? In the Mayan allegory of the end of the world, at the end of 2012, the most advanced human deep-sea probe was sent into the ocean. It quickly reached the mid-layer of the ocean, between 200 and 1,000 meters. Here, no sunlight is visible. The surrounding is only filled with a gel-like darkness and a low chanting that seems like it's coming from nowhere. The old captain is comforting the young sailors. He urges them to suppress their fear and not to attempt to listen to those eerie voices. This time we must find Pandora's box. The young sailors dare not slack off, staring intently at the screen. But worries arise in their hearts. The so-called Pandora's box is unknown to anyone. No one knows what it will bring to the entire human race. When the probe sank to a depth of 10,000 meters, it finally detected ultrasonic echoes from even deeper directions. Then, the detector light was turned up to the maximum. The detector gradually slowed down its descent speed. Suddenly, the space where the crew was located mysteriously shook for a moment. After a brief dizziness, they were stunned by the sight in front of them. They didn't know when they had actually stumbled upon a sea of shipwrecks. What's even more bizarre is that at such a close distance, they couldn't detect any sonar echoes. Furthermore, the values showing the position and depth in the detector completely disappeared. But the old captain spoke up. Start drilling down. I'm sure Pandora's box is right below. The detector descended slowly. In the following years, mutants began to appear one after another in the human world. Wherever they went, they slaughtered countless lives. No one can say for sure whether their appearance is related to the deep-sea exploration. Fortunately, human superheroes have the upper hand in strength. They have always been able to safely handle monster attacks. But today, an unexpected event occurred. The monster faction unexpectedly produced a mutant that can speak. And it provoked two superheroes as soon as it made its first appearance. This incident is also being broadcast live to the world. People from all walks of life have their attention focused here. Superhero, Ryan, said upon seeing this mysterious situation, I had long expected that there would be stronger power. There will be even more terrifying mutants. Today, this guy dares to appear in front of two superheroes. He is definitely not a small fry. I didn't expect the sudden appearance of the tomato superhero facing him. The power is so terrifying that he can temporarily suppress the rampaging Kevin superhero. Sounds like there's a good show to watch. Tomato superhero sprang up in a flash, his right fist glowing with energy. Mutant instantly realized that Tomato's ability was to gather all his energy into his fist. Then he clenched his fist in midair, only to see the ground beside Tomato suddenly rising into the air. It seemed to have turned into a living creature. It roared and smashed the tomato into the ground. And the brave superhero broke free in just a moment. He was about to get close to the mutant. He found a strange array appearing under the mutant's feet. Suddenly, a giant hand emerged from the array, striking the defenseless superhero. At the same time, the mutant heard a message saying, "Come back!" Then the mutant named Pan shouted, "Bell!" A large fleshy ball named Bell suddenly soared into the air behind, and began transforming above Pan's head. In an instant, its body expanded, generating a spatial teleportation array. "Impressive, Tomato," it said. That last blow was truly a killer move. I didn't expect to only leave you with a little wound. But don't get cocky, Tomato. The next time you see me, it'll be your time to die. With that, it leaped up. Its entire body entered the spatial teleportation array, passing through the teleportation array. And the exit of the spatial array was actually the ocean area that humans had originally explored. It jumped straight into the sea. Tremble, humans. The gates of hell are officially open to you. This upside-down vampire is very bold. It dares to enter the church alone as a single ghost. It mercilessly harvested the followers of the Lord here. Then it leisurely hung itself on the beam, just waiting for other pursuers so arrogantly. The outside is filled with heavy snowfall. And at this moment, outside the church, two figures, one fat and one thin, have arrived. They are superheroes who conceal their identities and go by aliases. They push open the door and enter the church. The scene inside the church surprises them a little. The believers here seem to still be devoutly praying. In fact, they have mutated. Then they rush towards the superhero. The skinny superhero leaped up and said to the chubby superhero, "Buzz, these people are not mutants." But Buzz did not hold back and knocked down those believers one by one. "Buzz, they are human beings." "Foolish. Richie. They no longer have a human aura. They were already killed before we arrived. This level of enemy is not even enough to warm up the superheroes." With a wave of his hand, he cleaned up all the mutated vampires. The real culprit then appeared above the heads of the two. "Is it you, this stinky bat, who turned them into vampires?" Buzz's strike was blocked by the bat with its foot. Immediately, it leaped backward, and it spread its wings. It landed steadily on the table. "Was Anthony killed by you guys? He is the warrior closest to the peak besides Pan." The two superheroes were shocked. They had never seen a talking mutant before. They only saw the bat howling towards the sky. It actually launched a sonic attack. In the next moment, it disappeared with a swift movement. It struck Buzz with a heavy blow. But Buzz held his ground. Buzz counterattacked. "Did I guess wrong? With this level of strength, can I kill Anthony?" At this moment, Richie, who was far away, raised his index finger. A dazzling light shot towards Batman. "Let him go. I'll play with you." It didn't even sense that something was flying towards it. "It seems you have special abilities." Richie saw an incredible scene. The monster's wounds unexpectedly began to heal. The bat swooped forward. Richie quickly retreated, his fingers waving incessantly. A dazzling light appeared out of nowhere. The dazzling light struck in front of the bat, and it saw clearly. That light unexpectedly turned into a huge sword, before the bat could catch its breath. Sensing the danger, the bat looked up. It saw a sky-splitting huge axe suddenly appear out of nowhere above its head. In fact, Richie made Buzz angry the first time he saw him. He hid in the dark and initiated his skill to intercept and kill Buzz's prey. Buzz angrily rebuked that interfering in someone else's battle is very impolite. So Richie had no choice but to show up. He then revealed his identity as a superhero to the other person and explained that his main job was actually a wandering artist. Later, the two of them became partners and introduced each other's skills to one another. Richie said that he can draw in the air with his mind, and then materialize the objects he draws. When he projects or uses these objects, there is no time process at the moment of their appearance, surpassing the category of speed. However, all abilities come with consequences. As the frequency of using his ability increases, Richie is gradually losing his eyesight. Time rewinds. The bat loses an arm. I can't help but admire how much more powerful Richie is than I imagined. But it instantly disappears on the spot. The attack arrives in the blink of an eye. Richie drew a shield out of thin air to block the attack. Then, he quickly drew a huge meteor hammer using the shield's visual blind spot. The massive meteor hammer flew fiercely towards the bat. Unfortunately, it still didn't smash its head open. By this time, Richie's eyes had started to bleed. His vision also became increasingly blurred. When he carefully observed, he found that the bat was gone, and that bat had silently come up behind him. The bat's attack landed on him. You are indeed remarkable. However, you still cannot change the outcome of your death. Do you know that when a superhero has the ability to materialize what is drawn, how many tricks can he play on the battlefield? Various weapons appear out of thin air with just a casual draw, and their appearance is silent and soundless. It transcends the concept of speed. It can also draw a shield to block attacks, then hide behind the shield to continue drawing quietly, letting a giant meteor hammer blast the enemies away. But the precasting animation is a bit long. In the end, he is cleaved in half by the bat's claw. Just as the bat was feeling smug. At the feet of the superhero, the corpse suddenly turned into speckled spots of light. It turned out that the superhero had drawn it for himself in a critical moment. Spirit artists can always create endless surprises for their opponents. However, their skills can backfire and impair their own vision. The superhero was bleeding from both eyes at this moment. Only saw the bat strike hard. He actually pulled out a huge arrow with his hand. Then he began to roar wildly. At this moment, the chubby superhero Buzz suddenly appeared and stood in front of Batman. Richie, who was almost losing his sight, suddenly remembered. Buzz asked himself why he teamed up with Richie in the beginning. Richie's response was, "Because you are much stronger than me, Mr. Buzz." At this moment, Richie is getting excited. It has been a while since he saw Buzz in this state, only to see Buzz exuding an overwhelming momentum. The bat sensed danger and immediately flashed out of the way. Then he keenly noticed that the fat man in front of him seemed to have become a different person. He actually visibly became thinner and smaller. The bat had to take the upcoming battle seriously. He is overextending his vitality, accelerating the healing of his severed arm and other wounds. Richie said, "That guy has terrifying regeneration ability. He must be dealt with before he fully recovers." Buzz, however, disagreed and said it doesn't matter. This attitude could anger Batman. "What did you say? It doesn't matter? After I punch your dirty mouth a bit, let's see if you can still talk nonsense." Then he bent down and exerted force. The next second it was like a lightning 5 whip. The speed was terrifying. It attacked in the blink of an eye. But Buzz did not make any dodges. After Richie learned about Buzz's skills, he laughed so hard that he spewed out a pound of steamed buns. The chubby guy actually gave his skill a funny name, calling it rapid digestion. When his body is in fast digestion mode, all his abilities will rapidly increase. It's as if the fat he burns gives him special energy. However, this ability is passive. The premise for activating it is having a formidable opponent, by pushing himself into unprecedented danger. But so far, no one has pushed their abilities to the extreme. The scene shifts back to the battlefield. In that instant, Buzz unexpectedly grabbed the opponent's sharp forelimb. "Congratulations. You actually managed to awaken my abilities in such a short time. Although I have no idea why you can speak the human language. However, I do not intend to listen to your last words." The bat keenly feels that if it doesn't escape now, it will really die. He didn't hesitate at all, and started to run away. "Lord, please bless me. Do not die here under any circumstances." The bat was intercepted by Buzz. "Lord, do you dislike my chirping?" Buzz punched the bat down to the ground. At this point, this bat who didn't even leave a name. Offline. "Mr. Buzz. The impact was too strong. This place is going to collapse." The two rushed out of the church. "You weren't bitten by that vampire bat, were you? Have you ever seen an ant bite an adult? I'm so hungry I could go crazy. Let's go eat the most authentic hot pot right away." The commentator predicted a draw in the World Cup final. As a result, he lost his job. However, he transformed himself and resurfaced as a superhero problem expert. The host was captivated by his insightful analysis and found himself fascinated. He said that recently monster attacks have been more frequent than before. "In my estimation, they will become even more common in the future. Currently, there are 3 known public identities of superheroes. However, I believe that there are more than just these 3 superheroes in the world. This is a landmark map of all monster sightings in recent years. It's impossible to handle all of them solely relying on a few superheroes." The host asked if you mean there are many undercover superheroes? Like the White Hat superhero? The situation with White Hat is different. Although we don't know his identity, at least we know of his existence. The Earth is currently being protected by an unidentified superhero. Data analysis has shown that, apart from nuclear-level weapons, ordinary humans are unable to harm these monsters. If there were no superhero now, our Earth would be in great danger. Regarding the true identity of White Hat, this expert has also made an educated guess that is probably close to the truth. He is likely to be a middle-aged person in his 40s. It is also very possible that he is a woman or a foreigner. Kevin, who is watching TV, said, Brian Joe, praise me quickly. It seems that I hide well and usual. You go on, just that this expert is too silly. The expert went on to say that not all superheroes will stand on the side of humanity. There are rumors that people overseas have witnessed incidents of superheroes killing ordinary people. Moreover, there have been more than one such incidents. Just like the mysterious Black Hat man who clashed with White Hat in the harbor incident, and his partner in the Red Cape. It's very likely that they are the enemies of humanity. There are a total of 6 known superheroes at the moment. But just a few hours ago, a new superhero announced their identity. She is a middle-aged woman from S-City. Oh no, a woman named Jane. She expressed willingness to cooperate with the authorities and will continue to protect the country. She also claimed to be an old acquaintance of the superhero, Jennifer. The sudden news shocked Kevin Lin and Brian Joe. Brian Joe keenly noticed. A superhero who hides their identity will not reveal themselves unless absolutely necessary. Disclosing their identity will inevitably come with big moves that cannot escape the public eye. After watching the show, Kevin Lin said he wants to go find the old man from last time to retrieve the trophy. Kevin Lin can feel that the old man is a real superhero. Today at school, Kevin Lin listened to his classmates talking about White Hat, tomato superhero, and female superhero Jennifer. Suddenly, in a moment, he looked up at the sky, because he had always had a question in his heart. Who am I really? What is the meaning of my existence? Compared to the Black Hat superhero who had previously targeted himself. The old man last time did not show any hostility. Kevin Lin thought he might give him an answer. Brian Joe was worried that the old man might be a scammer, so he insisted on going together. He took out his cane. Brian Joe's leg injury from the mutant attack at the airport last time has not fully healed. Brian Joe, I can go by myself. I am very wise now. Stop the nonsense. Let's go now. And at this moment, in the mysterious underwater mutant base, a mutant with a strange appearance remains silent. The mutant, Pan, behind him senses something is wrong and asks, Furry, what's wrong? The bat person, Graf, has been murdered. The surrounding mutants are all shocked. This self-righteous stupid bat. We only needed to find Anthony's body. He must have taken the initiative to fight with the superhero. Let's not bother with him. I have sensed who is the biggest obstacle to us. He is the White Hat superhero. How difficult is it to become a qualified superhero? The young man works hard every day and punches monsters on the clock. The intense work intensity makes him doze off in class every time. Nevertheless, he still goes to the mountains to seek out experts and improve his skills. His friend Brian Joe worriedly insisted on coming along, hobbling with a lame leg and leaning on crutches. However, the destination Dragon Peak is too remote. The two waited for 3 hours without seeing a bus. Brian Joe, I'm so hungry. Shut up. They went through several transfers to reach this station. 2 hours on the subway. Hiking in the countryside. Transfer 3 times on the bus. Hiking in the countryside. Finally caught that dreamlike bus to the destination. The scenery along the way became more and more primitive. They finally got off the bus. They went hiking again. 2 hours later, they finally saw the sign for the martial arts school. They continued walking, still hiking. Kevin Lin, you are a superhero. Do you not want to lend a hand? Kevin Lin, is this how you act as a superhero? Don't you know how to help people with disabilities? Brian Joe, you make a lot of sense. You are very wise. Are we rock climbing or cave exploring, Brian Joe? The heavens fulfill the wishes of the determined. The two finally made it. The first person the two saw was Kevin Lin's arm wrestling opponent, Walter. At this time, the old man also appeared holding a trophy. He was comparing shapes with Walter. The two were cheering, saying, I love you, go for it, go for it. Then he threw the trophy out with a flick of his hand. He returned the trophy to Kevin Lin and asked, "Are you really just here for the trophy?" Brian Joe didn't mince words. "Of course. You rascal, stealing someone's stuff and making them run this far," the old man interjected as he squeezed through the pear. "All right, I apologize. My daily actions are not exactly clean. If there's nothing else, you can leave now." Then he came alone to the edge of the cliff. Under the lingering sunset glow, his robes fluttered, portraying the appearance of a peerless master. Sensing someone behind him, he felt secretly pleased. However, he calmly turned around and said, "Why are you following me?" The old man said, "People call me superhero, but I don't know what a superhero is, nor do I know who I am." The old man, however, picked up a stone. "If I throw this stone down, can you pick it back up before it hits the bottom of the cliff?" At this moment, Kevin Lin was a little confused. But then, the old man suddenly flashed behind the two. He lifted his old foot towards someone's buttocks. "What? What's going on? How did I take off?" Brian Joe fell off the cliff, and Kevin Lin immediately rushed out. He jumped without hesitation. Halfway, he inserted both hands into the rock wall. He accelerated a second time with the help of leverage. He caught Brian in midair. "What do you want to do? What kind of look is that in your eyes? Want to fight with me?" But Kevin Lin stood still. "What's wrong? What are you hesitating about? Angry because I pushed your friend down? Too embarrassed to lay hands on an old man? You are just a despicable person. Always hesitating on what you can do. Lacks a sense of responsibility. Emotionally empty. Like a lifeless body. Do you pity everyone in your heart? Only God and lunatics would think that way. Don't let me see that kind of weakness from you in the future. Also, without my permission, the two of you are not allowed to leave here at all." Kevin Lin, who is normally innocent, has never experienced such harsh words. He stood there dumbfounded in confusion. "Oh no! Brian Joe, why are you foaming at the mouth? Oh no! Brian Joe, why are you not breathing?" At this point, the old man's demeanor, which seemed to have been paused, suddenly regained its momentum. So, the two superheroes worked together to save a civilian. "Grandpa, you are a superhero. Be sure to control your strength. Don't use too much force. I know my own limits. It's this naughty boy here. If you press down again, you'll break his leg." The young man no longer wants to be friends with superhero. Superhero Kevin Lin eats up the last grain of rice in the young man's home 15 days before the end of each month. Even with his limp leg, he still accompanies superhero to the mountains to seek advice from experts. When passing a narrow bridge, superhero doesn't even suggest stopping to carry him on his back. Finally, they have the chance to meet an expert. "I was kicked off the cliff by a strange old man and passed out completely. An old and a young superhero rushed to save me. I can only sigh that the superhero's strength was too great. I was awakened by the pain of being grabbed by two pairs of claws. Walter brought me practice clothes when I woke up." Brian Joe weakly said, "Uncle, are you kidding me? Do I look suitable for learning martial arts like this?" Fortunately, Walter has some emotional intelligence. Ask him. "You seem a bit upset. What's going on?" "I really don't want to say a word. If there's anything on your mind, just tell Uncle. Uncle is the most patient." But Brian Joe couldn't hold it in for a second. He started to confess the sins of two demons. "Walter deeply regrets it. Save me. Who will take away this babbling child?" Meanwhile, the two superheroes are in the back mountain. "Kevin, I have a few questions for you. If you don't answer honestly, you will die by my hands. But before I ask questions, I want to confirm one thing. Does it hurt?" The old man laid hands on him. "I ask you, does it hurt? In the end, does it hurt or not hurt? Answer me, does it hurt? It doesn't hurt." The old man was somewhat surprised after hearing that. He then observed Kevin Lin carefully. Surprisingly, there was not a single wound on him. "Have you ever bled?" Kevin Lin was also stunned. He had never thought about these questions before. He had been fighting for so long. It seemed like, no, he had never shed blood. Do you ever run out of stamina? He is so wise. The questions he asks are so profound. Why have I never thought about them before? Kevin Lin's mind flashed countless images, but he still couldn't figure out what physical exhaustion was. Then I will change the question. If we fought for a whole year, do you think you could do it? You should be able to. But it would feel boring. The old man was stunned. This kid seems to have unlimited physical energy. But he immediately figured out the reason. Next, he began to explain to Kevin Lin. The so-called superhero is someone who possesses unknown powers. These powers are known by many names. For example, chakra, energy, and I'm used to calling it chi. Superheroes have an iron body. It is also because chi has penetrated into the body. The concentration and content of chi vary for each superhero as well. The way chi manifests in each superhero is vastly different. Therefore, the abilities and skills of each superhero are also varied and unique. I am also one of them. But you are different. During the fight just now, I didn't sense any chi from you. In other words, you can fight me without relying on chi. Including your previous battles. All of them were fought solely with physical combat. Only relying on physical strength to confront mutants is something other superheroes wouldn't dare to think of. You are a superhero with immense, untapped potential. However, Grandpa, I lost to the mutant. And I even passed out. You said you knew about the airport attack incident. I watched the live broadcast at that time. Don't you remember watching the video of you fainting and then standing up again? Huh? How come I don't remember standing up again? After you stood up again, you quickly brought the octopus monster to the brink of death in just a moment. In my view, during that brief moment, you unleashed your chi. You felt threatened by the octopus monster's attacks. So your power was forcibly awakened. But at that moment, you were unconscious. So at that time, you didn't pass out. Rather, your body couldn't handle your true power yet, which caused you to lose consciousness. And my observation is not wrong. The chi you released at that time was only the tip of the iceberg of your true power. After that, 2 new mutants suddenly appeared on the battlefield. The one with long hair was a huge guy with terrifying strength. Please trust the old man's intuition. They appeared there. They must have sensed the greatest threat to Earth's invasion. And that threat is you, Kevin Lin. Earth is on the verge of a life-and-death battle. The specific time is unknown to us. So I need to awaken your dormant power as soon as possible. Let's go back and eat first. My name is Brian Zhou. I have a habit of writing diaries. I want to record my tragic experiences. I feel like I've been sold to this middle-of-nowhere place. There is no normal person here. They talk all day about loving you and cheering you on, like they're stuck in their adolescence. They even encourage me, a disabled person, to chop wood and work. This old man is a demon. He said he would use acupuncture to help treat my leg, but every time he made me foam at the mouth. I don't know how I've survived until now. They even force me, a stay-at-home guy, to practice martial arts by hitting stakes. And every time that demon old man and my friend Kevin Lin doesn't practice with us, they only come back at mealtimes. Their clothes are already in tatters. There is one benefit to this fatigue. I sleep very soundly every day. Subscribing to the channel will have superhero help you cover the blanket. But there is a problem. What should we do if Kevin Lin has been studying here all the time? The old man said. Then let Kevin Lin study from here. My intellectually disabled superhero friend thinks this old man is very wise. He speaks very reasonably. It seems like I have to continue staying here. I am not a superhero. I don't have the ability to come and go freely. I'm spacing out on my own. When I was lost in thought, an old man unexpectedly popped up from the roof and shouted for me to go fishing. I was almost scared out of my wits. Is there anyone coming to help me deal with this old man? In broad daylight, two female customers embarrassed the young waitress until her face turned red. Her heart pounded, as she wanted to look but dared not turn back for another glance. She deeply regretted not introducing the coffee more enthusiastically just now, because her two customers turned out to be superheroes guarding humanity. And the waiter overheard it accidentally. Superhero Jennifer actually called superhero Sophia sister. And Sophia only revealed her superhero identity a few days ago. According to the talented Brian Joe, who practices martial arts despite having a leg injury. A superhero with a hidden identity. Only when faced with major events that cannot be concealed from the public eye, will they choose to reveal their identity to gain the trust of humans and the cooperation of authorities of various countries. Surprisingly, Sophia and Jennifer were old acquaintances before Sophia revealed her identity. The last time they met, superhero William was still alive. Then Jennifer and William went to the cruise ship in the sea to rescue the tourists being attacked by mutants. Unfortunately, William was ambushed by a mutant and died in battle. There were a few suspicious points in the incident. One of them is the first appearance of two mutants at the same time. The appearance of the mutant, Pan, who can speak later on, can infer that mutants are not scattered individuals, but rather part of a closely connected organization. The second is that two mutants each showcase the characteristics of Earth organisms. When it transformed into Jennifer's appearance, it killed William's mutant, just like a chameleon. Another mutant can spit out spider silk from its navel. It's just like a giant spider. But it is still unknown what connection there is between these mutants and earthly creatures. The third is that after the incident, all human and mutant remains were left in place. Only William's body mysteriously disappeared. Jennifer was shocked and angry when she heard this news. Fortunately, Jennifer's team finally found a clue. They accessed all the surveillance footage around William's body. Eventually, they captured the moment when the body went missing on camera. Suddenly, a flash of light appeared in the footage. Almost instantly, the corpse disappeared from view. Finally, by pausing the frame where the silhouette appeared, the thief's identity was confirmed. He was wearing a white fisherman's cap. Last time, when Sophia invited Jennifer and William to meet up, she actually wanted to introduce them to her other sister. However, the other party said on the phone that they suddenly needed to deal with an emergency and couldn't make it. And Sophia's other sister, named Zoe, is actually a superhero too. A few days ago, Zoe told Sophia that she witnessed a murder case. The culprit killed a human with just one hand. Zoe immediately attacked the murderer. But after Zoe kicked the other person away, the other party was unharmed by her blow. They managed to hold onto the body and then escaped with it. Later, another figure and that person met up. Zoe immediately deduced that the other party was also a superhero. Jennifer, the other party may be two people. It could also be many people. These killer superheroes are collecting bodies. It may be the same group of people who stole William's body. We must go and support Zoe. Yes, but we don't know if there is still time. Zoe has been missing for 5 days. We don't know if she has encountered any danger. Jennifer immediately decided to go to the country where Zoe went missing with Sophia. She then called her team to explain the situation, mentioning that they were unsure how many people they were dealing with. She couldn't let Sophia go alone. Zoe is already missing. We can't afford to lose Sophia, her sister. Sophia's face showed a touched expression after hearing this. Look at this child, she is really good at speaking. Then she instructed the team for the time when she is not around. If mutant alert occurs, then contact Tomato superhero Dean. Since he can no longer be an actor, let him work harder to protect humanity. And at the same time, in the ruins of a site in Country Eye. That's enough, we have enough bodies. But we've run into a little trouble. I'm assigning you a new task. The speaker wore a white fisherman's hat. I am a ruthless killer. I'm hiding in this tavern. Would you dare to make a bet with me? You definitely can't guess which one in the tavern is me. This old man is a wealthy drunkard. He has spent his whole life indulging in fine wine and money. The tavern owner David is persuading the drunkard to go home again, because the drunkard comes here every day to sleep off the alcohol. David hasn't been able to return home on time to meet his lovely wife for a long time. Stay and drink with me until dawn, David. There have been over a dozen serial murders in town recently, and missing persons cases. Quite scary. Yes, the cases he mentioned are all my handiwork. He said it was quite scary, but I feel it was a devout praise for me. The store door opened at this time. Sheriff Matthew walked in with a gun. Everyone, hands up. Stop playing around, Matthew. Are we having beer today? Okay, let's have a beer, old buddy. I've been really fed up lately. But I knew his gun raising was just a helpless move out of incompetence. He wanted to observe everyone's reaction with this joke. In his heart, he must have been silently praying for God's protection, hoping to see me flustered facing the gun. It's utterly ridiculous. He said the recent cases have been unusually bizarre. Not only human victims were found at the scene, but also the corpse of a mutant. His praise for my methods almost made me smile knowingly. So I forcibly calmed myself down. Stop praising me, you bastards. But bartender Faber came over and asked, could these cases be the work of the same person? He handed the mixed daiquiri to the old drunkard. But the old man tasted it and cursed, saying the drink was off. He forcefully flung the glass back, almost hitting the waiter Ivan. Strongman the doll carried him and headed towards the door, as the drunkard went wild. The old man shook his gold watch and shouted, do you know who I am? Can you kindly give you a hint? This crazy old man is not me, because I'm going to arrange for him to die soon. The next day, David was chatting with a blonde girl. Sheriff Matthew pushed the door open, raised his gun again. David said, you're going too far with this kind of joke. But Matthew is not joking. If you don't want your head to blossom, raise your hands. Everyone was shocked. Then he put on a serious face and talked in an official tone. I am Matthew from the Major Crimes Unit. Listen carefully. I need to confirm the alibis of each of you. The old drunkard who drank dodging liquor last night. He's dead. Everyone in the shop was shocked. And his head and upper body mysteriously disappeared. The identity of the deceased was confirmed through the watch on his wrist. David asked in amazement. The person was harmed, but the watch was still there? Yes, so the killer's motive was not money. Jokingly, money is such a lowly thing. How could it catch my eye? Then Matthew began questioning one by one. David and two waiters can confirm each other. They were playing cards in the tavern last night. Ivan fell asleep when he got tired. So the only suspect left is Faber. He claimed that he went straight home after work. Matthew said, I remember you've been here for 2 months. But all the cases happened within these 2 months as well. Faber sincerely said, if you suspect me, I am willing to cooperate with the investigation. Please accompany me to the station. The two of them left the pub. David decided to close early because Yvonne's spirits were dampened by Matthew. And then they started playing cards out of boredom, complaining about Matthew and the unrest in the town. Suddenly, Matthew burst in a fluster, escorting the police car bringing Faber, which exploded. And Faber disappeared. Please give me his job application resume. His address should be on it. But David asked back, the police car exploded? Then why did you come out unscathed, Matthew? I went to carry out another task, and was not in the car. The car was driven by my colleague. Suddenly, Matthew was startled. Are you doubting me? Vidal hastily tried to defuse the situation. Let's calm down and talk. Shut up. Why didn't I think of that? Are you and that Faber possibly working together? Matthew, calm down. David, talking, reached behind him. Matthew, don't do something you'll regret. Your hand. What do you want to take? Gunshots rang out in an instant. It's really exciting. I can't help but applaud. In the end, I opened the door and walked in. I bet you still can't guess who I am. This is a game of werewolf, where someone will die. Everyone has to try their best to prove that they are innocent. while the villains secretly kill people. The first one to be killed is the drunken old man, because he drinks heavily and behaves badly, taking up the spot of a good person. He got into trouble on the first night. The second day is the voting stage. The sheriff suspects the criminal is the bartender. The police car transporting the bartender explodes midway, so the sheriff turns back again. At this point, he suspects there is more than one criminal, in addition to the bartender who exploded. The other two people also suspect that the sheriff is a criminal, because the police car exploded, yet the sheriff was unharmed. Are you suspecting me? Gunshots rang out. The real criminal pushed the door open and walked in, wearing a white fisherman's hat on his head. He turned out to be Ivan, the waiter at the tavern. At this moment, he is crouching in front of the surviving tavern owner in the midst of the gunfight. He raises the head of the bartender generously, and admits that he did everything himself. Moreover, he was also responsible for the explosion of the police car that the bartender was riding in. You devil! Why did you kill innocent people indiscriminately? Ivan said expressionlessly. Perhaps the instinctive reactions of people before they die is what attracts me. The word demon is tarnishing me. Please refer to me as a minstrel. I just dispose of some useless souls according to my own preferences. But at the same time, I also give life to truly interesting souls. I am creating life. You can also call me the god of creation. The innkeeper suddenly realized that the other person was a complete lunatic. He just wished to die quickly and painlessly. But Ivan did not do anything and turned and left. Mad, craziness, truly a lunatic. Devil? This unchanging world. That is hell. At this moment, Ivan's phone rang. The content of the call shocked him. Ivan got angry. We've encountered trouble. I'm assigning you a new task. A guy has escaped, and I don't know how he got away. Spare no effort. Bring him back to me. Everyone set off immediately. It looks like I need to start moving too. Carol, you stay here obediently. And Carol turns out to be a little girl. No. Why am I always left alone? Don't be naughty, you can't fight. Behave and wait obediently. You are a big fool. And Ivan pretended not to hear anything. At this moment, in a small outdoor cafe, superhero Jennifer and Sophia are discussing their next move. Zoe's clues have not been found yet, and the number of missing persons cases is increasing here. Suddenly, an alarm for mutant invasion goes off. This is not a country, but mutant is invading. As superheroes, we have to take action. It's just what I want. After speaking, the two of them immediately took action. They quickly arrived at the scene of the incident. Jennifer, however, was stunned by the scene before her. A person who looked like a superhero was freezing the mutant in place. There were stitched marks on his neck, and his right hand was clearly not human. How could Jennifer have been mistaken? That freezing ability. She remembered the last words William said to her. During the cruise ship incident, William said, "I will take care of things from above." But in the next instant, William leaped away. In midair, a fist swung towards him. The one attacking him turned out to be another mysterious superhero, half human and half monster. If your closest friend is a superhero who saves the world but is sacrificed by a monster's ambush, when you want to lay his body to rest in peace among the fallen leaves, but you discover that thieves have stolen his body. Upon meeting him again, he has turned into a half-human, half-monster stitched creature. How much do you want to kill the corpse thief? Superhero William, who can resurrect from the dead and has stitches, was intercepted in midair. The interceptor turned out to be a superhero who is half-human, half-monster. After a single blow, William fell heavily. His friend Jennifer was already furious. The monster looked at her and quickly left the scene. Jennifer leaped up and chased after him. But before her, another superhero appeared. Sophia, who followed closely behind Jennifer, finally saw clearly. The person being held by the other party was William, who had lost the body. Sophia's momentum erupted instantly. You'd better answer the questions honestly. Don't think about acting recklessly. The two opposite parties are also savvy. They directly inform that their actions are all under Ivan's command. Jennifer couldn't hold back and was about to directly snatch someone at this point. But at this moment, a lazy voice rang out. It turned out that two superhero sisters had arrived. The newcomers were wearing a fishing hat. He sat on the arch bridge in a grand manner. Jennifer and Sophia were shocked. They couldn't believe they didn't sense each other's presence. The fisherman hat is a chatterbox. He said he didn't expect Jennifer to look so beautiful even in plain clothes, then rambled on without making much sense. I threatened to pull out his tongue. While he mentioned that Jennifer's anger is frightening, he didn't sound nervous at all. Boldly, he started analyzing the situation. Facing the strongest superhero Jennifer of the present time and the hero Sophia from B Country, he speculated that he might lose half of his power if he confronts them head-on. He showed no fear of being heard by the others. Upon further thought, he corrected himself, believing it would be an 80% loss of power. Nonsense! Just tell us what you did to William. Whether to spare you will be my decision. I saved him. I reattached his head. He now has no thoughts. He is no longer William. Jennifer knew that she didn't need to listen to the nonsense that followed. She dodged. She went straight to William. The burly superhero tried to block her way, only to see the big man being blasted halfway. Then Jennifer reached out and pulled up William. At the same time, another superhero's fist pounded in front. But Jennifer didn't even flinch. These are not all of your strength, right? If you want to stop me, bring them all. And at this moment, the fisherman hat still calmly analyzed the situation. Jennifer's attack is not a long-range attack. Instead, there was a flash of light burst when she hit. The destructive power is simply devastating. And just now, that punch from Kazda. She emerged completely unscathed. You should know that hand-to-hand combat was Kazda's specialty when she was alive. Jennifer is indeed abnormally strong. As a golden light emanated from her body, even the surrounding temperature began to rise. It seems she is someone in this world who is uniquely blessed by the sun god. And at this moment, Kazda, with half of his body damaged, stood up again. He howled to the sky and unexpectedly grew a thick tail. He launched a sudden attack. Jennifer keenly noticed that this tail was coated with venom. It's a scorpion's tail. This should be a characteristic of mutants. Scorpion Man Kazda seems to have lost his mind at this point. He roared again. He was able to engage in an aerial battle with Jennifer in a short period of time. The fisherman's hat looked up and sighed. It seems you have made up your mind to die, Kazda. Then he was about to slip away. I will not forget your sacrifice and sincerity. But suddenly, the sky seemed to be densely covered with dark clouds. A huge rock came crashing down towards the fisherman's hat. He proclaimed himself as the god of creation, harvesting innocent lives as he pleased according to his mood. He also created new lives at will, stitching superhero and monster together, all collected to form his own army. Even when facing the two strongest superheroes in the world, he remains unfazed, crossing his legs without any fear. When his longtime subordinate is like hitting a rock with an egg. Seeing his subordinate on the brink of death in Jennifer's hands, he gets up and prepares to sneak away, without a trace of mercy. No one knows what his ultimate goal is. But someone is aiming to teach him a lesson. He narrowly avoids the attack of giant rocks. In the blink of an eye, a new giant rock hurtles towards him. At this moment, he remembers there is still an enemy on the battlefield, only to see Sophia surrounded by giant stones. Are you treating me as if I am invisible? Ivan. Oh, it's Sister Sophia. Please have mercy on me, sister. Smooth talking. Are you going to abandon your subordinates and run away? You misunderstood. I will indeed abandon my subordinates. But I originally planned to take William away while causing chaos. That guy is now extremely mentally unstable. He has no memory. Just like a newborn fawn. You guys scared him, sis. I want to figure out how he escaped from my hands. His new life was given by me. I will not hand him over to you guys, sis. You have a special ability. You can make me angry just by talking nonsense. With Sophia exerting force, the boulders around her trembled. Even the boulder that had just fallen began to slowly rise into the air. The boulders all fell down instantly. Ivan fully felt the toughness of his opponent. He couldn't figure out where these stones came from. But it can be certain that they did not come from the nearby ground and buildings. They seemed to appear out of nowhere. But every time a stone attacked himself, Ivan felt as if he was facing Sophia herself. This damn, suffocating, oppressive feeling. These huge stones matched Ivan in speed. They continue to pursue relentlessly even as they fall. Their flight trajectory is completely irregular. It's as if every stone is moving freely, as if every stone has its own soul. And Sophia in the air did not control the stones. She just watched the prey silently. Ivan avoided several giant stone attacks. Another giant stone flew in at an oblique angle. Ivan was startled. But suddenly, the stone paused in midair for a moment. Then, in a flash, the giant stone transformed into Sophia. She punched Ivan, sending him flying. Sophia looked at the footprint left on her body, silently admiring her opponent. At the moment she landed a hit on the opponent, he unexpectedly managed to kick back at the critical moment in extreme condition, maximizing the exchange of injuries. And Sophia's punch strength is on par with Jennifer's. There are not many superheroes in the world who can achieve this level. Sophia's anger value is soaring. Sister, I finally understand what your ability is. I have been curious from the beginning. Why do I sense that there are countless souls around you? Each of the 80 stones around you is you.